basically, we're going to look at some generic types of paper. This is very generic, but basically you have a bond paper. Um, there's a text. It's called text paper, or also called book paper. And then cover papers. These are your basic papers. Bond paper is mainly used for business paper. Your photocopy paper is considered a bond paper. Um, text paper is a little higher quality, and it's mainly used for running in presses, like offset presses, for creating your basic magazines, books. Most of the paper that you've seen printed is a text paper, and that can come coated or uncoated, different colors and textures and so on. And then these are general terms. These are generic general terms. The cover paper is basically a thicker stock to protect the pages, and covers can be coated or uncoated. So when we look at paper samples, we'll be looking at these basic types of text and cover papers for commercial printing. Coated versus uncoated. So as I mentioned, in the paper making process, the paper gets coatings applied to it. And if you look at this graphic over to the left, the blue square, at the bottom of that, there's a cross section of paper that's uncoated. And so you can see the rough paper fibers. It's just simulated, the diagram, that the paper fibers are rough, but as you apply coatings, the coatings fills in the little valleys there, and it becomes more and more smooth as you apply more and more coating to it. So uncoated to something a little less coated might create a satiny paper, compared to a fully coated glossy paper at the top of that diagram there. Some of the differences between glossy and coated and uncoated papers is how the ink lands on the paper. So when it lands on a uncoated paper, and if you look over to the right, there's a comparison between uncoated and coated papers. So the uncoated paper, the ink gets absorbed into the fibers of the paper more, compared to the glossy paper, which has a coating which makes the ink sit more on top of the paper. So a result of that is that you have brighter colors, because the ink is up on top of the paper, not being absorbed by the fibers, and you have sharper images, especially when it comes to text, or black and white lines. You'll have sharp lines. You'll have a sharper edge to your images. And then there's a little microscopic view of the coated versus uncoated. So overall, coated papers are going to have colors that pop, that are brighter colors, shinier, and with sharper edges, sharper images.